I went back to central Pennsylvania. I worked at a buddy's bar, lived above it with some friends for about 2 years, gained like 60 pounds, severely depressed. I had $3,000 left and I bought a plane ticket to Barcelona. Like my plan was to get a certification to teach English. That was kind of as far as I could think ahead. How I write is how I wish I spoke. Everyone's like, write how you talk. And I'm like, well, what about people who stutter, who have ADHD?
There's beauty in our perceived weaknesses, and fulfillment is found in doing what we can with what we have to help other people succeed.
Yeah, it's freedom is waking up each day and being all right with who you are for me. Learn how to make money, but also learn how to be the type of person who you like when you lose it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Chris James podcast. I'm your host, Chris James. I'm here today with Michael Thompson, the American King of Spain, the legendary medium writer, and the author of Guide by Design. Thanks for doing this, Michael.
Thanks for having me on. Like, is the King of Spain? Isn't that isn't that a group? Isn't that the King of Spain? I think he's a really good, he's a really good singer, actually. So that's not me. But yeah, I'm the king of a small town. Like, I'm the king of my office space in Spain right now.
I'm excited to dive into the story about how you ended up being an expat writer living in Spain, which, by the way, I think is one of the best countries right now. But I've been reading your book, really enjoying it. The first chapter is about stuttering, being called a retard, going to work in sales, increasing your communication skills. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And does it hurt would it still hurt if someone called you retarded?
What I still heard, probably this was like the late 90s, early 2000s, where that word was still thrown out of, like, it was still politically correct, even though it was incorrect probably then too. But so I grew up with a really bad stutter, and it's actually funny. I started to I stuttered through my sales job, got progressively better over the years, but it didn't get really cleaned up until I started writing. So it's actually like when I was 37, 38. So it's really interesting. I probably should have just shut up and written about who I want to be, what I value earlier in life instead of waiting. So I grew up stuttering, and stutter kind of probably forced me to be shy, just because I think there's like, I'm introverted in some areas, I'm extroverted in others. Like a lot of people, I'm on a spectrum. But with shyness, I usually see it as kind of a lived experience thing where you're kind of pushed into the corner as a kid. You're kind of quieted. Like the stutter, it kind of just made me shut down in a way. So I went through college and stuff, and I had friends. I played soccer, football, and that helped with making friends. Most of my friends
Yeah, for me too.
both
Same.
play. They played ping pong and kicked a soccer ball. But I really didn't really.
Two of the best sports in the world, I'd say.
What, the bowling or the ping pong is the other one?
Oh, 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 I thought you said soccer and ping pong, which are my two favorite activities.
Like, add in bowling and we can be besties.
Oh, you're a
Three.
bowler. Okay.
Well, like I did in central Pennsylvania in the mid 90s. Like we had, like my high school buddies had like a bowling league on Tuesday, Thursdays. It was like the thing
Oh,
to
nice.
get out of the house. And it was really fun. Like it's just for those sports.
Man, I miss the 90s. I feel like people don't really do that much anymore. Everyone just stays in their house. I don't know if
I
we
just wrote a thing. Yeah, I just wrote a thing yesterday on Substack about the town I'm in now. It reminds me of the 90s just because like no one knows what Twitter is. Like my kids will go to the park alone. There's no white vans driving around. Like if there was, the neighbors would say something, you know what I mean? Like it is just kind of slower here.
So
But
you're in a small village. Is that what you call it? You call it a village in Europe?
like I call it a town. I think British people use village, but
Oh,
like it's about 17, 18,000 people, 20,000 during
nice.
summer. Right now, maybe it's 50 or 60. It gets hit for like
Wow.
45, like just 45 days. So it's not like, fortunately, it's not easy to get to from Barcelona unless you have a car.
Okay.
So a lot of the tourists in Barcelona right now, like Barcelona is a tough place to be if you're a tourist. What, like, the people are shooting water guns at you if you're a tourist, and all these protests.
Wow.
Barcelona's been kind of overrun, so I get it. But my town, I think, is kind of safe from that. Like, and it's a family town. It's not one of the party beach towns
Cool.
that. So it's a nice, quiet place. I'm a couple minutes from the beach. My kids' school is
Wow.
across the street. The park's across the street.
¿Puedes
Uh,
hablar en español?
sí, una mica. Catalá.
Excelente, vamos. So yeah, I guess fill us in a little bit on the backstory. You're stuttering, you go to sales. How did you make it to Barcelona or the region of Barcelona near Barcelona?
Spain. Yeah, it's kind of a connect the dots. The dots make sense now, but I took I was stuttering and I took a job in sales just because it was the thing, like it was straight commission. So I got hired first off. So I found a place who would actually hire me. My buddies, I was bar backing and bartending. My buddies were working like real jobs. So this was the beginning of the 2000s. So it was like the typical thing then was get a real job. It is still today, but not as
Right.
prevalent. So I took a job in sales and like more as a punishment, just to kind of just get over it, like get over the stutter.
Bold move. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. I work with clients and I usually like we don't do the deep dive thing. Like it's usually small things you can do first. But for me, I just didn't really see is like you couldn't go to the internet and like map out plans of how to like adjust your career then. So I took the sales job. It hurt for 90 days. Like all the expected things happened. I stuttered. I hung up phones because I couldn't get words out.
That's so funny. I read that in your book. You're like, it was actually you hanging up because you were just like, I give up.
Yeah. Like I still stutter on M's and my name is Michael and I was selling mortgages. So it was something I had to like practice in the mirror, like saying it Michael mortgages, like over enunciating it. But like I would hang up, be like, I can't do this, and I'd hang up the phone. But after 90 days, like a bunch of signals kind of hit me. First, like I realized that you don't have to be like an alpha, a charismatic person to do well in sales. Like it was kind of the Glengarry, Glen Ross boiler room type thing. You didn't have to be that person. That was kind of portrayed everywhere as like the salesperson in the beginning of the 2000s was the typical Tony Robbins type. And there were some people in my office who did really well. The top salesperson was socially awkward, I think I say in the book. So I was seeing like, hey, it doesn't like young, old, it didn't matter. And one of my favorite things in little short stories from that time is I went to a training seminar and a Tony Robbins type gave a talk. And like he said at the end of it, he was like worst case, if you can't get somebody to answer the phone or talk at the door, start stuttering as they'll see you as a human being. And I was like, oh, like I think he was saying it as a joke, but I didn't take it as a joke. I was like, yes, like I can do that thing.
Got that figured out already.
Yeah, like it was just kind of signs that like I could be like it sounds cliche, just be me. Like, and when I did that, like even in writing today, it's this times I'm not trying to like please an audience or something. It's just me, my stuff fly like well, it flies. I'm not gonna say flies today's market, but like it does the best and I'm proudest of it. And it was the same with that job where as soon as I just kind of relaxed, I saw some signs. I still like had some problems at some points, but generally it was like when I was me, clients would always say like, oh wow, it's refreshing. Like you're not like that other person who I spoke with. You take notes, you listen, you remember things, you follow up. It seems like you actually want a good deal for me. It's like I would tell clients I don't want to work with them just because they don't need it. Like, like just that kind of obvious stuff.
And then you can go, stop wasting time and go find someone that really does need your service.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of trying to sell them into a corner. So it's just kind of like all those things just kind of added to my confidence.
I like the section you wrote. You said you're at the seminar and you go, and the guy goes, one last thing, he said nonchalantly while gathering up his stuff. If you're having trouble getting people to talk, stutter. They'll see you as a human being instead of a salesperson. Whoa, what? I said to myself, holy shit. I can stutter. I know how to stutter. I don't even have to fake it till I make it. So,
yeah.
Actually, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's just like the 22-year-old mind, the 23-year-old mind of like, hey, maybe I'm okay. Like, this is great. Like the excitement was very real of like, I was excited to go back to work for the first time probably ever. Yeah.
Well, it just reminded me, I was the short kid growing up, like really short. And we had this like soccer team thing where we had to like go door to door selling something to raise money. And I was like the number one like salesperson because I think I was just like so small and looked so like pathetic that they were like, oh, we're just little kid. Oh, you just give him some money.
That's great. Like it is using it to your advantage. I have a client who's like, he owns a design firm I work with a lot and I helped him on his book. Like, and he's maybe 5'7", 5'6". Like, and his coworkers tower over him. So like in meetings, like everyone goes straight to the tall, confident types. Like, and he's holding a notebook and a pencil. So they just think he's the assistant. Like, and it actually, like he used to want to say like, I'm, like the company name is my name. But instead he just shut up, and like people, like he was really approachable because of it. So it's actually like if you're not intimidating, it's a very good thing in a lot of situations, as you're not like a so much of a threat, you know?
For sure. So you left sales though. Like I assume you did make some money. Why didn't, but you wanted to move on?
Yeah, I did what, like I was there for 6, 7, I was there until I was maybe 27, 28. Promoted to management. Like within the first year, I was in the top 10 of the sales force, of a force more than 11 in it. And I got promoted to the management team. I was really good at the training side. Like I was good on the, like I got good on the phone, but I could also help, like me helping the other team. Like
Right.
that was clearly my thing because I was good at working up deals, figuring out angles that made sense for the client and us. So I did that. And then, like most sane people, I took the money I'd made and I went to Central America in hopes of flipping properties. And that, yeah, like you're laughing. It's like me too.
I mean, I do stuff like that. I went to Colombia to look for properties to buy, and I thank God I didn't do that. But what country did you go to?
So I went to Costa Rica. I went there first for my boss's at the job's his bachelor party. So like 10 of us went down for a
Mhm.
week or something. And I felt it was like, oh my God, like I want to be here. And I kept going down with buddies from work and stuff. And then finally it was like I had made a friend there, like, and he sold properties, good name, family name was really good at the time. And he showed me a place that was just basically like a fire sale. Like, and it was a bed, bedroom house inside of a development. It had a pool, like it had a jacuzzi pool, like walk to the beach and 200 meters, like paradise. So I did that and things were going well until the 2008 crisis hit. So maybe I had like a year and a half good run there, and I fixed up like I fixed it up. I had workers and stuff, and I was working still at like I was coming down for long stretches of time. I could work just kind of remotely at that point. I just needed a phone for sales stuff. So I could go down for a few weeks at a time. And then the 2008 crisis hit. I was about to sell the property. It was up for sale. And my business partner's dad, the guy who showed me the house, and I were in cahoots, like in a good way, like working together on stuff. I was like referring people in the US to him and stuff like that. And his dad changed the deed of my property with a pencil and pen. That was good enough for the Costa Rican courts. Like, and he sold it out from under me. So I was expecting a phone call for $250,000, like a wire, to come in. And I got a phone call saying that there's a problem. And I'm still dealing with it 15 years later. Finally, the court system, like I went down 4 times for the hearings,
Oh my God.
and I would sit outside, like literally I'd be asked to leave the courtroom, like, and go like wait outside during a testimony. The bodyguards of the guy who I was trying to put in jail, who stole all of my money, they'd follow me outside and sit right next to me on a bench. Like these were like big guys. It's like I'm 5'9", 160 pounds. And this was the normal thing. And like one time they walked through the alarm thing for the guns and it went off and no one did anything. That when I'm
Mine. No one did anything.
and,
So they're
and
packing heat. I don't think you are. They're just
so no fear, straight up fear at this point. And the guy who stole the house, he tried to, like, he would show up drunk. He tried to bribe like the judges in front of judges. Like, I'll give you a piece of property if you let me go. And they just wouldn't find him guilty. Like every time that there was like close to it, there was some kind of like mistrial, some error in the judicial system. All the nightmares you read about came true for me. So that sent me into kind of a bender, like as you can probably imagine.
sure. I'd be
And
pissed.
yeah, I went back to central Pennsylvania. I worked at like a buddy's bar, lived above it with some friends for about 2 years, gained like 60 pounds, like severely depressed. And that led me to kind of a Hail Mary of buying. I had $3,000 left and I bought a plane ticket to Barcelona with no real, like my plan was to get a certification to teach English. And that was about it. That was kind of as far as I could think ahead.
So did you just throw a dart at the map and just hit one of the best countries in the world? Is that how
I
did that?
didn't. So my dad was in the Air Force, like, and we had traveled around, like I was in Poland as a kid. They lived in Germany, Greece, like, and I had traveled around. And when I was 21, I backpacked around Europe for 3, 4 months. And Spain was the one place I didn't go to. Like in Barcelona, just kind of had the name. Like I think the Olympics were. So this was 2010. So like the brand of Barcelona like was starting to grow,
Cool.
and I just yeah, literally just I'll go to Barcelona. And the place I got certified to teach put like it's like $300 for an apartment through the school thing. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then I got hired at the school to help the new trainees find work because I had sales experience. Like, and I got creative in how to find jobs. Like, and that steamrolled into companies contacting the school for teachers. And I was the person who answered the phone or the email. So I would kind of like part of the pay was me cherry picking jobs I needed or wanted. Like, and all
Cool.
of that steamrolled into like I met my wife at a presentation I gave at the Catalan government. Like you'll appreciate this. Like I went on an interview and the guy was like perfect for the job, but you're legal. So like I can't send you in to a government office. Like and I was walking towards the door and he was like, screw it. He's like, I have an Irish teacher, like who kind of looks like you. So I got his passport and I would show that in the beginning. And then I like made small talk with the security guard. So over time I didn't have to show the documentation. But I met my wife in that seminar probably six
Wow.
months into me being in Barcelona. So like I was selling, like I was doing pub crawls with groups of Americans. I was teaching soccer and English to young kids, like whatever I could do. It was really good to kind of go from making money
Dude,
then to have to get
yeah.
scrappy again. Yeah.
You made it as an illegal immigrant.
I felt more made making maybe I'd make 1,000 a month if I was lucky. That was me making it more than it was 100,000 in sales, you know,
Wow.
like just because I had to do everything, like nothing, like in a different country, you have to do everything, like nobody gives you anything. So that was kind of like, that's what I needed was to get grounded again. And
Right. Get out of the room above the bar, snoring lines of coke or whatever it is y'all were doing up there.
no, but getting out of the sales, like that type of environment and sales too, like figuring out what I wanted to do. And also for me to make money in Spain, I really had to think outside of me. It's like, what can I like not value for other people, but what the people want that I can provide.
Yeah, it's like
Like, and
straight
that
up
kind of gave me
entrepreneurship.
purpose. Yeah. Just not
Um,
making a ton of money, like the scrappy entrepreneur who can survive. Like I've always been good at surviving. I'm not very good at thriving. So it's kind of like I'll get to a point of comfort. Like, like if I write an article that does really well and I get paid a lot or I get clients from it, like I'll step off the gas and be like, oh, thank God I can take a break for a couple of weeks.
yeah,
So,
it's in our nature, I think. But one thing you wrote in your
yeah.
book that I really liked was there is no hack more effective than optimizing for quality relationships. And I think truer words have never been spoken.
Yeah, it's like it really is the ultimate life hack, and it like every opportunity comes from someone else, even if we think we make it out of thin air. And and now too, like in the age of AI, like I think it's the best time ever to be good with people. Just because like I can even feel it, like after COVID too, the social, like I don't know what the
Oh,
word
yeah.
was, but the thing of getting back in front of people, languishing, I think Adam Grant titled it or something, where it's kind of hard just to readjust. And even working at home, if I have weeks where it's like me writing in podcast interviews, the sun feels bright leaving the house some days. Like, and it's like,
Sure.
I shouldn't be like this. So I do think it is a thing where like everyone's worried about AI. It's like, yes, you need to keep up with it. But at the same time, if you're a connector, if you like helping people, if you like keeping in contact with people, it's like I'm shy, but I really like I love people as human beings. They're fascinating. So it's that whole thing of relationship wise.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Right
And
too.
it's really a muscle and it's a skill that can be learned. I read How to Win Friends and Influence People when I was 18, and it was just profound for me because, a lot of that stuff's not really taught, like communication and relationship skills. So when I started reading that, I guess it didn't come super naturally to me. So just to start to learn about it it was a style of book that felt very practical and useful. And it reminds me a lot of your book, actually, because it's very readable. And it's clear that this is like pragmatic knowledge, and it's also, there's stories involved. So it's insight through entertainment. And ultimately, I'm glad I'm about halfway through your book and I'm really enjoying it. So
It's funny, like to cut you off real quick, it's almost cliche, these cliche books that you're like Win Friends and Influence People, like people, some people roll their eyes at it. And I'm like, hey, like anytime that there's a cliche said, like listen, because it's a truth. And Dale Carnegie was
right.
like human behavior changes, times change, we adjust accordingly. But at our core, all of these small things that we can do, and they are small, like it's not massive things. They really do work. And it's just kind of like it's good at 18 that you saw that and were like, this is really practical and something I can use. Because most people, a lot of people just kind of wait for the, not at 18, they're researching that or feeling like, oh, this is actionable for me at 18 years old. I didn't think that way at 18.
I was like trying to get into business and sales, and I had this, dream of being like an entrepreneur. And I was actually like, I didn't like go out and like buy that book. I was on a plane and it was like the guy sitting next to me had that book and like my phone died and I had nothing else to do. It's not like I was like going out and like buying that book. But once I actually read that book just by chance, I was like, wow, this is like useful information to know. And I'm kind of enjoying reading a book, which has never happened before. And so then after that, I decided that reading books is like something that I want to do. And so not just for school, I actually try out books and stuff. But circling back to the point about social skills atrophying during COVID, I mean, they atrophy quick. Like if I don't engage with people for like a week, I'm like, I have to like relearn how to do it.
It's funny. My father-in-law, he's 90. So my wife is the youngest in her family. And you can see kind of a before and after COVID thing. Like he didn't get COVID, but he was indoors for so long. And like at 82, if you're not moving, well, I guess he was 85 at the time. Plus the social skills with my dad too. He had cancer during COVID. He was in his house for about 3 years. So the last 6 months he's been out, but like it was, the conversations were difficult. Huh? Like, and they were the first to recognize it of like, whoa, like, how do I do this thing? Like, it's almost like in Spanish, like it takes me like a minute to what takes me a half an hour at times to get like fully moving, even though like I'm speaking English all day with kids or clients, whatever. Then switching, it's not automatic for me. So I think with COVID, it was just like a weird time for people. My first course I gave at like an MBA program in Barcelona, like after COVID, like I was drenched with sweat after the first day. Like just like
I still experience this because I do a lot of like Zoom calling, a lot of working remotely, and I'm sure you do too as a solo entrepreneur and a writer. And I do podcasts, like long form conversations like this, and I almost prefer it, like the Zoom interaction, because it's like less sensory input. I get less anxiety about it, whereas like IRL is I guess a little bit more intense for my nervous system, I guess. So
oh, fascinating.
yeah.
I'm the opposite because I need to move. Like generally I'm a mover, like, and the environment creates conversation a lot of the time. So if it's us, like we're familiar, we've seen each other's stuff, you know what I mean? But if it's kind of someone new or a newer friend, like it really helps. Like I generally, like anytime I do stuff with friends or like new people, it's generally active just because it's not the only thing is talking. Like you can play football and have fun together and have a good time and have a beer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's like hiking, like, it's not just sitting down and talking face to face. I have a hard time the 2 hours at a cafe, just sitting and talking. Like I get,
Yeah.
halfway through, I'm like, I got to get out of here. Yeah.
When are you doing 2 hours at a cafe talking?
Oh, Spanish, man, the lunches here are like 5 hours. Like my family's lunches are like, they have a farmhouse. Like it's a beautiful old place, 1,000-year-old farmhouse that's never really been fixed up. Like we have fires on the floor for the barbecues. Like, but they'll sit out at a table for like 4 or 5 hours. And it's just like, I can't do it. Like, and then, but people here do sit and talk for a while. Like I taught English for a bit and in the classes, a lot of them were conversation for 2 hours at a cafe. And it's like, well, I'll talk about exhaustion. Yeah. It's like 2 hours was enough. Like that was the day. Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about your solopreneur life in Spain as a father. Like what's the day to day like? Do you get outside? I mean, I assume you're pretty busy.
Yeah. My wife works outside of the house 3 days a week. So she's about an hour away in Girona. So I'm kind of on like in her job's pretty like it's pretty hectic right now. So I'm kind of on kid duty, like getting them to school, getting them after school. We'll rotate who takes them to like football practice or soccer practice, I should say. Um, but generally, I think there's 23 holidays here during
Yeah.
the like the whole month is like the kids are in school for maybe one full week at a time between like them being sick, holidays, long holidays, summer vacation. Like I think they're in school like 140 days a year out of 365. So it's never every time I think I have a good week planned where it's like a normal week of them in school, they're like one of them gets a fever and then it's the next one gets a fever. So it's a lot of juggling. I'm not a early morning person, but I've become one. So I see everyone like, oh, I'm not going to get up at 5 a.m. I'm not going to cold shower. It's like, yeah, you're 22. Like you have all the energy and like you can sleep whenever you want. But for me to write the book and stuff, I was up at 4:30 and to like that until 7:30 like was just sometimes I just watched a movie, but generally it was that was my time to be alone. So I'd write the book and generally for anything creative, it's got to be silence for me, which is difficult with kids. But a lot of my stuff I write about is about my daily life, the kids, the wife, the problems that come up, navigating it. So it's kind of, yeah, I like it. It's life. It's messy. It's not perfectly clean. And I'm not a productivity, like I'm really bad with systems or any type of organization or instruction. So
Me too.
I just kind of let everything flow horribly, like just kind of wing everything. But I try to keep work though. Like I'm not trying to make $1 million a year right now. I want to write an article a week. I want to do an interview a week. I want to do some talk to somebody new a week. You know, like I try and keep things pretty easy so I can hit like easy targets and make it like, and I work with clients that pay the bills, the writing, kind of anything on top of that is gravy for me. So
Nice.
it's like, yeah, this season I'm entrepreneurial, but I'm also not like the scalable type of entrepreneur. Like I'm good at surviving. Like I said earlier, and figuring out ways to do the work I want to do on my own terms, but not like stepping on the gas and growing out a team and doing that kind of stuff. It's more just
Right.
I like working with clients on their books. I like writing. I like podcast. Like I like conversations,
Right.
and my work is designed around that. And in
Did
Spain,
you
I
get
need
into
a lot of money.
Right, right. In Spain, you really don't need a ton of money, and I think that takes the pressure off because in America, you need like at least $4,000 a month just to survive. If you're in like,
Our family of four can do that. Yeah, like 4K
right.
is good here. Yeah.
So
Uh,
I think honestly, with globalization and the internet, and increasingly people are working across, international boundaries, it's like Americans are at somewhat of a disadvantage if you're working on in the global gig economy because we have some of the highest costs of living in the world. So actually, when I was traveling in South America and even parts of Europe as well, they really have the advantage. They think they have the disadvantage. They think they have to like come to America to like make a lot of money, but no, you have a low cost of living. You can price very competitively, and then get more clients and get your foot in the door. How did you like get your foot in the door or even start on this path of writing, growing an audience, developing your craft, working with clients? What were the early days like?
the early days, I wish I could remember because I think my son was about one when I started to write, and I quit smoking. I couldn't leave the house to go play golf or whatever dads do to get away for 4 hours at a time. So I started to write, and it immediately clicked that this was my way. Like I'm stronger communicating and writing than I am speaking. And I had that thing of like, wow, I've been in communication, sales, teaching in front of people jobs for 15 years. And my natural state is writing. So it came pretty quick. My third article, it got into Fast Company and Shared by Inc. Fourth was with Thought Catalog, then like Elephant Journal, Thrive Global, Stephen Pressfield's team. Like I got featured, like I got some networking tips featured on his blog. So that was all within the first 90 days, maybe. then it kind of slept like, and I was like, well, what am I doing? I'm good at this thing, but what do you do like with this thing? And I saw bloggers at the time where they kind of seemed like like Tucker Max, like Mark Manson was blogging, Ryan Holiday was blogging, but I've never been like the tech person or even thinking of like, oh, I should really like grow out a blog. Like I had a little shoddy WordPress site, but I didn't think of turning it into a business. And probably a year in, I stumbled upon Medium, and like I really started to learn how to write there. Like I had editing groups, I had mastermind groups with feedback loops going on all the time.
Yeah,
And the
that's
like
key.
new writers would do some grunt work for the experienced ones in exchange for feedback and teaching, like, and we'd have workshops together. So I got hot right when Medium started to pay writers, probably
Nice.
2018. And they asked me, the in-house editors at the time who now work at like New York Times, LA Times, like the Atlantic, they contacted me and asked me to send everything to them to be featured in their personal development publication called Forge. And they were just starting it. So they were trying to push like everything that they published. And me and my friend Darius Faru were the only like in-house writers who were like really pushed. So I grew like I was doing an article a week and earning twice as much as I was as a manager selling mortgages. So I was like, wow, like I'm gonna be set for life. I'm gonna be a millionaire. And
That's awesome.
algorithms change like that went
Yeah.
well for maybe 3 years.
Wow.
And that was my job. Like I got really because we had our second child. Like I was home. People started to reach out for communication, career coaching. I was like already doing consulting with communication stuff at the time in Barcelona. So all of it just kind of organically, like I kept getting asked about like, will you coach me for X? And then it became what like, I want to write like you. Will you coach me for writing? I want to write a book. Like I'd like a voice like yours that sounds human instead of robotic. All of it just kind of steamrolled, and I do consulting for some like brand work for design firms. So all of it's just been kind of like people liking the thing I'm doing and me picking the projects that sound good to me. So it's been really fun with that. Like it's just kind of hoping it doesn't end. It's always like the thing of like it's gonna fall out like any day now. It's all gonna fall apart. But it's been like
Yeah.
that. Like I've been writing more or less full time and coaching consulting for 7 or 8 years. And I've dipped in and out of probably 5 sectors in that point.
Cool. So I met you through Paul Millard's Pathless Path group. And you remind me of him a lot, to be honest. Switched countries, met his wife, been doing this for 5 or 6 years. Like solid writing, published a book. How did you meet him or find him?
I mean, his name's been floating around for the last year and a half, maybe.
Or everybody knows him now.
Yeah, and he seems genuine. Like you said, he seems genuine. Like he comes off as just a normal guy who's kind of enjoying all this stuff. He's smart. Like he's smart. Like I could like the
He's
first time I read him, I could tell he's really smart. But he's doing it. Like, I mean, he's doing it his own way, and just the pathless path thing. Like I was busy with book writing. It's like I didn't know who Sahil Bloom was until like like a month ago because I've been in like a cave with the book stuff. But Paul's name, like I'd seen it, and like I joined that group maybe 90 days ago or something, just because it seemed like it's the pathless path. I've been doing that since I was born. It feels like, and it meant like it led me to you and Rick
yeah.
Lewis. I've become close with, and a couple others. Like I've had some back and forth with Paul, so he just seems like a really good dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
he
just
is.
as a way to meet people who are kind of doing something similar.
Yeah,
And
because it's not
speaking to
easy.
you, no, like speaking to you is like you're younger, like you're 20 years younger than me. How old are you? 25.
26.
So like I just turned 46. So it's kind of cool. Like seeing you, like just reading the first part of your book too. It's like, wow, like different scale than me for sure, and different industry. But like, it's kind of the thing of just doing what kind of where like following the wind, so to speak, like you're just trying to figure it all out. And
Yeah. I haven't succeeded yet at that.
No, either have
But
I. Yeah.
I'm o I'm open sourcing, figuring it out, and I'm so glad to be in the Pathless Path group. It was really key for me to get started because I guess like struggle with self-doubt for like writing and publishing online. Like I did not have the early success that you did. I published on a Wix website, kind of talking to myself in the corner of the internet, nobody's reading it type thing, and then I kind of gave up on blogging. But then joining the Pathless Path group, I got just basically lucky that I was at a dinner and Paul was there and we started chatting and he invited me to join his group and then he wrote his book and he said, yeah, you could write a book too and you could just share on Substack as you go. I was like, okay. And then my audience was super flat. And then it started to go up as I started getting better at writing. And just to have that early networking through that little social media group and like hopping on the monthly Zoom calls and stuff, meeting people like you and hearing their stories and just like a little bit of solidarity there, a little bit of early support and encouragement to keep going. And that got me writing. And now I finished my book. I self-published it. People are enjoying it and like leaving reviews and stuff. So yeah, it's been a cool run. I've just been doing it for a year. And it's funny, like I meet these pathless path people such as yourself. We've only talked for like, 2 hours or something, but I feel like I've known you for like years, You're like,
Like go on vacation with you probably. Oh, like we
easy. Yeah, and I've actually met with like a bunch of pathless path people because I think it is like core to our identity and how we operate in the world. Is like to we're like work is not the center of our life. We're like to try different things, have fun conversations, be creative. And the truth is that's not really most people.
No, it is. It's so funny because here in Spain, like nobody in my town gets what I did. Like, the typical thing of like, what do you do?
Yeah.
They understand that I write on, like, I have a friend who's like, there's kind of a decent amount of hippie types around here and I love it. Like really cool, like longer hair guys who work in construction or something. Like, and we have barbecues together. We play football together. And I explained it, so, like, and he's like, "So what do you do again?" Like, I explained it again, and he's like, "But what do you do? Like, how does this work?"
What's like your job? Like what's the that's like your side thing. What's your main thing?
Yeah, so I leave all of that talk. I generally don't talk about work. Like,
I don't
you're in
either.
Spain too. It's not a topic. Like, you don't talk about
No.
how much you make. You don't talk about work. Like, my wife knows what her best friends do, but in general, it's like I know she works in this place, so I don't really talk about work here. And I just kind of observe it. Like, it feeds a lot of my writing too, because I can like reflect on what's happening here, and no one's going to read it from here. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, which is fun, but generally I have my, like, I get my, like, I need to talk about this stuff. So it's talking to you, it's talking to other friends. I need to actually voice it. And if I'm excited about something happening, who do I talk to about that? Like, I need people around. So it's very nice. Like, I leave this door and the sun hurts my eyes, and then I get back to reality. Like, no one cares who I am. Like, which is a freeing thing because you don't like you drop your agenda just by necessity almost here. Like, you have to drop your agenda. If not, you're not going to have any friends. That's
What would you say to people um who are maybe struggling with self-doubt, maybe they're being called retarded, maybe they're just not fitting in their like local community?
what's funny is life is long, kind of is one thing. Like, it's not like in high school, it's almost groups and stuff. But the older that I get, just the more I just kind of out of living life. There's people who go 90 years and are doubt and self-doubt, like riddled with it. But a lot of people I know who wouldn't go to like a beach here nude now at 45 are running to it. Like, it's interesting how life does kind of like you get some things happen with loss or the like health issues of loved ones that just kind of all those little small things about giving a presentation, it's not as meaningful as it was. Like, it doesn't consume you as much as it does. That's just one thing that's just like you can't put that into action today except hope to wake up tomorrow and like the day after. But what I do, like, I'm pretty I have self-doubt. I'm kind of authentically uncertain. That's kind of part of my charm in writing. Like, is I don't have the answers. I've learned the answers from people and then I share what they've taught me. I have someone like I'll call at times to be like, tell me to hit publish because I'm not hitting publish on an article. In front of my students, I tell them my first day is like I tell them I grew up stuttering and things in sales and losing money and all that. Like my palms are wet talking to you, and that actually gets them comfortable where they'll start to talk to me about their challenges. But for like tactical thing, like as I keep reminders of how far I've already come, it's like I have a holy shit jar where each time I think like, holy shit, I did that thing. Holy shit, I survived. I just write like a couple words down as a marker and toss it into a jar. So I can just grab those. Like it's in the hallway here. It's in those big Spanish green vases. I'm trying to fill it up by the time I die.
Dude, that's awesome. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's a cool,
Nice.
I mean, just like was kind of like keeping a brag sheet almost, just kind of a funnier name. And like just looking through those old entries. So it's basically a reminder that like I've survived stuff, like I survived stuttering, I survived sales, I survived the thing in Central America, even though it
Yes.
smears off my life.
Well, I just wrote a piece where you really don't know what's good or bad, and I outlined, accidents I've been in and things where I'm like, this is just the worst thing ever. But then you end up making a change in your life that ends up actually an incredible gift. Like you went to Costa Rica, it didn't work out. You found yourself in Spain, and
Yeah, and
now you have this incredible life. And so, was it even a bad thing that happened?
no, I look at that now and it's not like in the moment though, like when I get
In
stressed, like all I think of like, is this just going to kill me? Like I'm going to die from this. But at the same point, those touch points of the survival and reminding the good that's come from the thing, like life is long kind of thing again. Like things
Yeah.
do have a way of correcting until they don't. But one thing, like I worked with a guy, Justin, a close friend, and he helped me just for free. Like he's a wellness coach and he lost his 1 year old maybe a decade ago. And he was an investment banker at the time, like did a complete 180. He went to Japan. He studied
Just
about
Dustin
like he
Caffrey.
can study. Yeah. Yeah.
I know him. I just found his YouTube channel. I've been watching some of his videos.
He's such a cool guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he did it like he worked with me and what he would do, and this is top, like, this has really helped with my writing also. Like it sounds strange, but I would sit for an hour, like on Zoom, like this was during COVID, like, and it was hot as hell in Spain. I remember that summer and I would sit in front and hands on my knees and I'd breathe in and like, and breathe out. Like, and he'd be like, all right, find the first time you ever felt embarrassed. And when you get
Ah,
there, tell me. So I would travel back in time and till I was 5 or something.
that's
Like, and then he's
intense.
like, I'd say, like, all right, I got it. He's like, all right, now go through your life until today, finding those moments. So after 5 minutes or so, I'd say, like, all right, I'm done. Like thinking I was done. And he was like, all right, now go backwards. Now go forwards. Like in every third rotation or so, he'd say, like, did you see anything new? And what that does is it teaches you the context around bad events. So I got like when I was 13 in high school, the director, like it was my first week, and the director of students made fun of my stutter in front of like the football team and like right in the beginning of lunch. And I did like a general thing like this, like, don't do that again. Like literally that, like, and he flipped out on me. He flipped me over the cafeteria table. He dragged me outside in the hallway. He took off his glasses. He was like, I'm going to end you. I used to be a Marine. And I was shattered for like it was like it's traumatic today, but I didn't. The next day, was scared to go into school, and I remember walking to my locker, and there was a group of sophomore girls like standing there, like Saved by the Bell type thing, and the story had snowballed that I punched him, and so I was this badass little kid, and they were like, are you the one who punched so and so? And I said, like, and I was like, I didn't punch him. And they stopped me, like, you're really cute. And my wife thought the stutter like was cute also. You know what I mean? Like some bad things happen, but you don't see that maybe that yeah, like what else happened around it? What did you learn from like trying to find a lesson from everything isn't always possible, but the lessons do come later for me. Yeah.
Right.
Like things
No,
do circle
exactly.
back.
Yeah. And I think it's important to recognize that things can certainly be sad and like we're not denying the emotions of the situation. But to your point, like just wait, just wait just wait a little bit and amazing things will grow out of the dirt. And so
That's
man,
really
yeah,
his thing though. Like a friend's dad just died last month. And right before he passed away, he said to his son, like, be sad, but don't be depressed.
right.
Like, and that,
Yeah.
yeah, like it was like, woof. But it's very true. Like, feel the emotions, go through it, but just try to get out of bed, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, keep going. And I've been like consuming a lot of content from Art of Accomplishment and Joe Hudson. I've been joining their Zoom calls and watched their coaching calls. And he's all about somatic experiencing emotions and doing similar stuff to Justin Caffrey. And I've just been getting good at that kind of emotional fluidity is what Joe calls it, where because I spent like 20 years just like figuring out ways to like repress and like not feel emotions and like tense my body and stuff like that. So I'm just now starting to like learn emotional fluidity and it's amazing just how uncomfortable I am with something like crying. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll like, all right, I'll allow myself to cry. And I'm like, I really don't like this crying thing. But then after, I feel like amazing. I'm like, wow, crying is like the
Yeah.
best thing ever.
I was going to ask you how you, I was going to ask you how you, like, if you want to sleep well at night, cry before you go to bed, just,
So good. We have this
yeah, yeah.
script in our culture that is so ingrained in us that like crying, especially crying in front of other people is like unacceptable.
Yeah.
Who should like shouldn't do that.
Like I just watched a show last night on Apple. I forget the name. It's new, where a woman she lost her husband and son in a plane accident in Japan. And part of the grieving process is that people sit in a room together and a counselor will come in, a therapist, like, and he'll have everyone cry, like, and he'll collect the tears. And the American woman is like, I'm not doing this, like, but yeah, he had his tricks, but still, like it is very much like, no, I'm not crying in front of other people. I don't remember the last time I cried in front of someone who wasn't family,
Hmm. I don't think I've ever.
which is,
I'm not sure. I can't even cry in front of my family. I was on a Zoom called
you
Family.
know,
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a wife, unfortunately, but I was on a Zoom call with family and I was like, oh my God, I'm about to start crying. And I'm like, when I like turned off the videos, was a panic moment. It's just interesting. It's interesting,
I
but
would think if you can do that at age 85, you're doing pretty good. So you got like 60 years to be able to do that because it is something that most people don't. Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
that's like
yeah.
master level.
Yeah. But you're aware of it, which is, yeah, you're an impressive guy. Huh?
Well, I really like what you said about the jar and like putting tokens in the jar when you do something difficult or like feel like you're gonna die because I've done a lot of scary, difficult things in my life, but I'm not like really keeping count. And it got a little crazy to the point where like I was gambling a lot of money. I was doing extremely dangerous like adventure sports stuff. Um, solo international travels, going into, villages, just and ultimately like I did a lot of thrill seeking and but it's these things that are seemingly easy, like crying in front of family or going to get a blood
Yeah.
draw, or it's like those are actually like the really difficult things for me. So there's this whole like, internal world for me to explore. And I like this idea of keeping count on how many times I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
Actually, it was okay.
The thing you just said though, of the, like, I can move to new countries on my own and I can do like high risk behavior on my own. But the small things, like you said, are the things that I really struggle with. As the, of it's like it's weird. Like I can't publish an article. I need a friend to say publish the damn article. And
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, like the human, yeah, we're fascinating creatures. Yeah,
Yeah, I have this like crippling phobia of like getting a blood draw. And I actually had to I had to like basically have an accountability person like tell me like, okay, the next step is to make the appointment. Now we're gonna make the appointment. Like, all right, I'll make the appointment.
I'm the same way. I have a family member who has a deathly fear of it from a young age, and he was in
Yeah.
some positions where I inherited it, I think, just because of osmosis to it, and
Yeah.
going to get like a COVID test and stuff. Oh, drenched, just a
Going to get
like
wow,
to get a COVID like any kind of needle is what I'm scared of.
dude, I'm with you. I pricked my own finger. I had like some test or something, and I pricked my finger, and I was like, ouch, that hurt. And then all of a sudden, I felt myself blacking out, and I had to like lie down and like put my feet up in the air to like get the blood back into my head, and it sucks, man. I think
It's
people who have never experienced it. I don't think they can understand.
No, and I think it's something probably going back to I think my environment of someone not liking it just rubbed off on me to the point where I just thought it was natural to not want to do that. Like it's like I hate it. Like I had to get an allergy test for cats recently because we want to get a cat in the apartment. Like, and I think I'm allergic. Like, and they messed up and they gave me the wrong test and they like sucked out like a liter of blood from me. And I left there like was so like then they told me it was the wrong test and I was like, you don't realize what you just put me through. Like that was the worst day of my life.
Yeah, yeah,
It's tough, but
I'm right there with you. But I almost feel like I like the challenge of it. It feels like the final boss in my psyche, to be honest. If I can get myself to the point where I'm at least okay with that situation, then
yeah.
I'm a master. It might take 20 years.
What's funny is a lot like I'm not good with heights, but when my kid like I had kids and my oldest is a climber, like he's been doing it for like 7 years on walls. He's 9 now, so he's been doing it for as long as he can remember. And he climbed one of these things, these things in playgrounds where they have like it's kind of a triangle, like and it has ropes that you climb up to the top of it. They're all over Spain, like and they're pretty high. They're maybe 10 meters. No, not 10
Oh,
meters, but
uh,
7 meters, 6 meters. And he was like 4 because I had the little one with me at the park. And he got to the top, but he couldn't reach his foot down to start coming down. Like, and I had like a 6 month old in my arm bawling, and I had to like, and I was like, what? Like, it's like either he stays up there, I call the police, and be like, like, and I climbed up with my 6 month old, and I got him down, and that's one of those holy shit, but like it may seem trivial to someone, like climbing a playground thing, but it was one of those things where I was like, so the pressure or spiders or anything, things I didn't like now just grab them off the wall prior to kids or things, it just wouldn't. It's like, yeah, we'll just
wow.
let it go. So the why of doing things, the motivation, or getting a blood test, I need to do it for some health reasons, or tests for me for longevity, is yeah, it's not just about me.
Exactly, dude. I couldn't agree more. Like when it's all about yourself and you're trying to make yourself happy or feel good, it's just it's hard to like operate like that. Like this is about your family, your future. Like
Yeah.
it's about more than just yourself. So that
I
helps me like show up.
I get a blood test again if we can get a cat in the house. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not my favorite thing to do, but I would do it again. You know?
Wow, wow. I can honestly say at this point in my life, I would not do that.
Wait 20 like I'm 20 years ahead of you in multiple regards. So like with writing too, it helped that I was 30, like I had a lot of experiences. So it's like the first couple of years was just writing. Like I had stories to tell, it's
Yeah,
just kind of like, and you have stories too, but like when you're 46,
you have
like
more stories. That's just how it is.
the path you're on right now. Yeah. You'll probably fill 50 bucks.
Yeah. So I recently read Man's Search for Meaning, which like puts a lot of things in
Mm.
perspective. Have you read that?
I have, yeah, I have one of the one thing really stuck out to me. I'll let you go first though. If you,
Yeah. So in the second half of the book, he talks about logotherapy. Did you read that part?
yeah, it's been a couple years. Yeah, refresh.
So he was like a doctor, like a psychologist, and
Yeah.
he survived the camps, and then he went and to work in psychology and write these books and help people. and he had tremendous insights from being a prisoner. And one thing that a therapy that he developed was for people with anxiety and phobias and actually stuttering as well. And he tells a story about this kid who was stuttering, and he did something illegal. He like rode a train without the ticket, and the cops caught him, and he was like, okay, all I have to do is stutter and they'll feel bad for me and they'll let me go. So he tried to stutter in that moment, and then he couldn't stutter. And his stutter was gone. It was the only time he didn't stutter was when he tried to stutter. So they actually
That's really
took
fun.
this principle and they kind of developed it into a therapeutic technique where, if you're experiencing anxiety, you kind of try to lean into that and experience it more. And then ironically, it starts to dissipate.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing right now. Like when I stutter most is when I'm nervous, scared, they're not sleeping. Like with kids, it comes out more if they're not, like if they're up or something. But I'll speak in, like the fear thing, like most people speak out. So when you have that thing, if you're scared, like you go, ooh, but normally you're kind of out. So I'll get stuck in. So it's generally kind of like more just because of anxious nerves. But what I liked about, like, it's really fascinating of when yeah, like when it's like alcohol here. Like you can drink it. So like 18-year-olds don't go crazy like they do in the US,
Right.
But when you're told to do something that you normally hate about yourself and then you can't do it, like it's an interesting psychological experiment. Huh? What I was going to say too of the men's search for meaning is I have a thing written down from it of the 3 reasons why he was able to survive besides luck was he would like the big one that stuck out for me is the question of like, who can I help? So he had 3 things. One was find meaning in the suffering. One was have a daily project, and it was hiding the scraps of notes that ultimately became the book. And then the last question was like, who can I help?
Right.
And that got him out it got him out of bed each morning.
Right.
Like it's fascinating. Huh?
One thing I wrote in my book is what focuses the mind is love, survival, and delusions of grandeur. And that maps a little bit like the delusions of grandeur being that he has this dream of writing this book and doing the great work of his life in psychology, and he actually did. It's just one of the most read books in the world. And when he's at camp, literally on the verge of starving to death, that's what kept him going. And it was a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is amazing. It brings tears to my eyes that he made it. And now we have this book.
I love that in your book, like in your book about like narcissism and self-delusion and stuff like that. Like I really like that. Yeah, like it's not really hedging, but it gets you kind of like it's kind of a nice hook of like, hey, I'm a faulty human. Just kind of like I have like an image of myself I can't control at times. Like it's really like it makes you want to keep reading. It's a great hook.
Yeah, it was inspired by actually Mike Ma and Jed McKenna and David Goggins probably as well. These are the guys that I was reading that winter in my life that was exceptionally challenging for me. And that decisive energy that they had inspired me to write like that and not do a lot of hedging and just basically create this character. It's not exactly me. It's it's kind of a fictional version of me inspired by true events and stuff. But leaning into that decisive energy felt really good. And I realized that my writing is not who I am. It's more of like the antidote to who I am.
It's like, I love the word antidote. Just because but I usually do something of who I am is kind of the version I like. How I write is how I wish I spoke. So everyone's like, write how you talk. And I'm like, well, what about people who stutter, who have ADHD? It's like, I talk in like I'm a communication strategist who talks in circles at times, but when it's time to filter and distill and crystallize stuff, I'm really good at it. But I have to talk in circles to sometimes get the ideas out. Yeah. And my writing is the same way as like, I'll write in circles until the one line comes out, like, and then I'll build off of that one line. Like like I have to figure out that clarity though, usually writing first. And because it helps me clarify my brain, like, and then it's kind of like, if I write a reflective piece, I get to kind of pick the memory, So if I'm writing a story from 6 months ago, like not everything is exact. Like if you ask the person who was with me, details would be different just because they had a different experience. So it's kind of fun of playing with the imagery of past reflections and painting yourself a certain way and other people a certain way. That makes it kind of fun for me, if that makes sense to you.
Oh yeah,
Kind of,
no, absolutely. I mean, I like to say that there's really no such thing as nonfiction. I think it's all inspired by true events because ultimately you are cherry picking. There's no way to like convey the exact situation. You cherry pick what you want and you make your own little fun reality, your own distillation of the world, and it helps clarify your thinking. And it, to your point, it helps you write who you want to become. And Paul wrote this as well. He was in, it's a really difficult spot to be in. He got sick, he left his job, he moved countries, he was all alone, nobody understood what he was doing. He didn't even know what he was doing. And he said he wrote his way to optimism. He just wrote things that were optimistic, and then he became a more optimistic person.
that's funny. Like I think mine was writing all the times I screwed up and I realized I survived, kind of thing. Like was that like was my way out? Yeah.
Yeah.
But even if it's fiction, the dragon represents something in someone. The author probably has his own dragons. You know what I mean? Like a
Well,
poet.
the irony is a lot of times, right, a lot of times fiction is truer than nonfiction.
Yeah.
And I think Tolkien is a great representation of that, where it's like that's obviously fiction because there's no dragons or whatever, but it's all based on his life and his experiences. He just added in some make-believe stuff, but that's all superficial stuff. I learned about his life and him going to World War I and losing his friends and going on these difficult trials. I'm like, wow, this maps pretty well to his books.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the
So
thing and the shading. Yeah.
yeah, writing is a powerful tool, and I have to recognize that I'm new to this, guys, and I still have a lot to learn. Like I've had just a tiny bit of success where I've gotten some good reviews on Amazon and some people say they like my stuff, but I feel like I need to just humble myself and keep going. And it's funny when I met you, I actually didn't know at all who you were. We just hopped on a Zoom call together, and I was like, "Hey, I was just in Spain. Good to meet you." I didn't know that you had been doing this writing thing for so long, and I was like, "Yeah, I could probably help you like get started in writing. Like, I could do some editing for you." 100,000 liters.
Well, it's different. Like it's weird because today it like linked, like people go to like Twitter and like LinkedIn, but like, and like the best place for a writer is LinkedIn. And it's like, it's for a copywriter,
Right.
but it's long form. Like I was with Medium just because I like long form and I wasn't on social media besides Medium. So now like in Substack now is a new play. Like it feels like home completely. I want to have a podcast. I want to have a Q&A. I can already see it. Like I need some time for the book to chill out. But I've been doing it like, and I've been helping other people do it for a long time. Like I've probably edited a couple million words at this point.
Wow.
Um, so it's just kind of the collection of things. But like my book too is like, I don't want to be out in front. Like I want to make a living doing this, but I don't want to sacrifice. Like I don't want to, like the biggest mass of the book is like, what business do you have attached to it? And I'm like, I don't have a business attached to the book. Like, and that's a problem. But I don't
I
want
think perhaps
I don't want to travel and give talks,
you know,
like I do. It's writing.
maybe
Yeah, it's writing.
I I think that I'm actually also experiencing this where I put the book out and I was kind of like too lazy to like make a personal website to like attach the book, but I probably will do that at some point where I'm like, okay, here's my offerings. I can offer you writing coaching,
Yeah,
and maybe
go.
a couple other
Yeah.
things. So I think having a powerful professional landing page with some of your offerings and then, put a QR code at the end of your book, I think that's a powerful thing. And I mean,
I
I
have
want to
the thing
try.
that is like I have a list. Yeah, it's like it's more figuring out what like it's like a list of people who want to write books with me. And I have coaching, like I have some coaching things, and I have a person who has a really large audience who wants to go in on a mastermind group together. So those things like they just come naturally from what I do, right? Like, and it's like so not planning what the book is like to maximize is like I don't want to give talks and travel around the world right now. like,
Right.
I don't think traveling for talks is traveling. That's just work. So like, I'd
Wow.
rather have it separate. And I don't like with kids, I want to be home. I
Yeah.
love where I live. So it's just like, I don't really want to change. Like, I don't want my life to change because of the book, which is weird for people. Like it
Yeah.
sounds, yeah, I don't want to change. Yeah. The thing I have going on.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you have a hot wife, you have multiple sons, you have a book
Oh,
worth
yeah.
reading, you're in a coastal city in Spain. Man, you're the king. How does it feel to be the king? Would I
It's
change
funny.
anything?
Like, it's funny. I was complaining about like book promotion or like book sales or worried about it to a 24-year-old kid named Carl, a German kid in my course. Like, and he's a smart kid. And like, he looked at me, he's like, I've seen your wife and kids. Like, you've already won. Like, like you've already won. Like, the thing, yeah, I'm 46. I'm really happy with where I am. I miss America. Like, I miss Americans. I miss parts of America. Like the United States is an incredible country,
Yeah,
and
it
I do
really is.
miss walking outside and the friendly lit. Like, here in a small town, it is friendly, but like United States, like you can walk into just about any bar and sit down and kind of have a conversation with someone.
Especially where you're from, in more rural parts of Pennsylvania and stuff like that. I mean, New England's a little bit different, but totally,
But
the
the
United
South
States.
too.
Yeah.
My brother's in Georgia, like in Savannah, and it's like, my God, I cannot sit alone in a bar. Like, or even the supermarket, like people stop and talk, like I do miss just kind of speaking in English. It's probably why I'm talking fast today, just because I'm like, oh, but there's part like I'm good with where I am. And even saying it now to you, like, I don't want to change how my life is right now was kind of a revelation of like, oh yeah, like I don't want to change my life right now. I'm good. Yeah.
No, I was just on a call yesterday where I had that kind of revelation as well. I was like, if I just kind of keep doing the same thing, like that'll be fun. But I would like central air. That would be like an upgrade of my life. We have central air conditioning, but
My first interview with Justin, we did an interview a couple of weeks ago, and my apartment, my air conditioning broke right before the summer. Like, it works, but it doesn't. And for some reason, like every so often, it will go up to 30 degrees, what, 90?
yeah.
And during the interview, I saw my face get progressively redder. And I was like, I'm not nervous. I'm talking to Justin. I've done this a million times. Like, and I was drenched head to toe, like leaving here. I was like, oh my God, like, am I having a panic attack? Like, why is my body rejecting this? And I like looked at the thing and it says, it's like I'm in a small office with the sun coming in the light, like in Spain, and then the 90-degree heat blowing on me, like air conditioning, full thing.
So uh, I want to read one more passage from your book. There's beauty in our perceived weaknesses, and fulfillment is found in doing what we can with what we have to help other people succeed. That's awesome. So I'm excited to keep reading, and
Yeah, that's
I,
the story of my life. Yeah.
yeah, I think that like that's probably my main takeaway from this. That could be my main takeaway. I haven't finished reading the book, but I really like that quote. It's like something I want to like. It's one of those quotes where like I would remind myself of that every day, and I'm sure that would be helpful for me living a meaningful life. I'm still shy. I want to wait. Sorry, one more pass. There, I'm still shy, and I just still stutter. I wouldn't want it any other way. If there's one thing I've learned in my life, it's that being underestimated is a superpower. And the only freedom that truly matters is waking up each day with the courage to be yourself.
Yeah. I spend a lot of time online, and it's like financial freedom is the cure all for everything. And I look at it and I shake my head. Like, I've had money. I was miserable. I've lost money. Yeah, it's freedom is waking up each day and being all right with who you are for me. And sometimes with
It's
jobs, like, like you're going to lose money, like circumstances you can't control at times. Yeah. And it's like, do you like learn that stuff, learn how to make money, but also learn how to be the type of person who you like when you lose it too.
wow. Wow, I love that. Yeah, good stuff, man. Thanks for doing this. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm good. Like, this is really fun. Like, I think we should do this like tomorrow. It was really like like I see a lot of you in me. Like it's funny how like it's going to be fun to watch you. Like when I'm 60, like in 20, we'll redo this in 20 years. And
Yeah,
you're 66. I'd love to see where you like when I'm 66. When you're 46, I'd love to see where you are and watch this beforehand. Yeah.
I do kind of feel like I'm looking at the 20-year older version of myself, and I felt that way right when I met you. I was like, oh, wow.
Well, hopefully parts, but yeah, hopefully not other parts. But we do have a lot. Yes, like a lot. Like like you have a gift of like the first time I met you. Also, like your intelligence is like you know how to deal with people, but at the same time, your intelligence like you kind of like you learn things quickly and you get curious about stuff and you dive into it. Um,
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate
yeah, yeah, you're good.
my big
That's
struggle right now in my life is that I am a very curious and creative person. But I have that leads to a focus problem. That's the end.
yeah.
Yeah, and being your own boss is really difficult. But it helps a lot to see the person who's older than you and they're okay. You know, they've been doing it for 10 years and they're doing good. And I'm excited to see the next steps for you. Do you think you're gonna do another book? Maybe?
I do, but it will be a different topic because this is like my first mountain book kind of thing. Like I'm moving on. Like I was doing confidence coaching, communication, teaching at university, and now I want to go more creative. I've been feeling that for a while, and
Okay.
different writing styles, kids books. I got a buddy
Okay.
who writes movies in Los Angeles that I wanted like be his intern and just like feed me screenplays. I want to see if I can cut him up.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I want to do different. Like I want to do the creative side. Get it, like it gets me out of bed. For me, Substack in a way is yeah, like a release for me because I'm gonna be able to do different things and put them in different buckets. But it will be more creative. Like, and I like working with other people's stories probably more than my own.
Okay.
So going more into the helping on books, storytelling, developing ideas. Like it's like a lot of people who like last night I was watching a show and the writing was great. And I kept thinking of like all the people who are writing on those shows, like that's what we want to be doing, like, or something fiction or some kind of books, like something off platform that's culturally relevant, like and on a bigger stage. Like, and I've always, like, and I look at what they're doing and they're not worried about social media. Like, it's just kind of like they're just going to work making the stuff that they sometimes the stuff that they
Right.
want to see in the world. Like, I know it's a slog, TV, movies and everything, but figuring out those different mediums and more dialogue, more, I could have a book. It would have to be with someone else, I think, for a topic. Like writing with someone sounds more fun to me right now. I need a break from the seriousness of a book, a traditional
Yeah.
published book, you know?
Yeah. I would encourage you to come to the dark side of self-publishing where you can say whatever you want.
Yes.
And yeah, and as you read my book, you'll see that I said a lot of things that maybe a publisher wouldn't have published. But it's all in good fun. And
Yeah, it's the tone of the no, it's the tone of the book too, and it's the audience of the book. Like it's for that, like it's me at 21 audience. So it is like it's a little more G rated than like I think a lot of that was self-help books in general. Like I wouldn't have digested it. Yes, like if I wrote how I do or speak with my friends on the phone in that book, there like it wouldn't have been packaged as, I don't know how to say it the right way. It's like I like you have different voices, right?
right.
Like in your writing style, and with this book, I wanted that theme for my kid. He's shy and he stutters. Like at 17, I want him to pick up the book, and
Right.
not get sidetracked with some stuff that maybe he doesn't want to read or needs to read. You know, so kind of picking what stays and what goes is really important in books, and the tone, like the voice throughout. But
Right.
like everyone, like we're all complicated. So I bet James Clear, like he breaks his habits at times. You know, it's kind of so it's like it's that voice of I wanted it more approachable, comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of my writing is that. but I also like to try different things now. Is like
Yeah,
I see it more as an art form instead of a means of communication. That's probably the
cool.
best way to say it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was actually reading your book, and I started to realize that you're not necessarily writing for me particularly, but I'm enjoying it. But you are. It is a self-help book, and it is very helpful. And I like that you dedicated it to your sons. And I started to think about this is like me when I was 18, picking up how to win friends and influence people. And so I like that you were mindful of what you kept in and kept out. And now you're going to do a different book that's going to be a whole nother thing. It can be more creative and a more of a work of art. So I'm super excited for you. And honestly, I would love to collaborate with you on a project. I have a friend in LA as well who just finished working on Joker 2. And we were just
All right.
talking
Yeah.
about yeah, we're just chatting about like coming up with movie scripts and how that's actually a big need in Hollywood because they just their script writers are junk for a lot of their stuff they're putting out. So we're
It's
gonna
funny.
brainstorm. Yeah.
Yeah, my book. Yeah, thinking of legacy, and when when you're my age, probably like you'll be thinking the same thing. So the tone, like in my teaching too, it's more of a legacy type teaching. It's not me telling people what to do. It's like sharing the things I've learned from people around me. Like I want that baked throughout the book, where it's like kind of like an optimistic book of be curious in the people around you, like they're there to help, and vice versa. But yes to movies. If you ever want to kick around, I have no idea how to write a screenplay, and I think that that's going to be my biggest advantage
Yeah. Yeah.
because I don't know how it's done. So let's do it a different way, you know. So if you ever want to kick that around, but
Absolutely. All right. I'm like we'll wrap this up. Let's do a lightning round of questions to end the podcast. What great works have inspired you?
what great works have inspired me? Um, so I loved The Outsiders when I was growing up. That was like my favorite book, like in movie,
Okay.
as like the underdog stories. Yeah,
Nice.
I really like how I went through stages. I wasn't a massive reader, so I hung on to The Alchemist back in
Mm.
the day. The Unbearable Lightness for Being. I had to read it in high school or college, and I was like, "What is going on here?" And now, like in my newsletter for ConvertKit, is like I drip a lot of that into that newsletter. Like twice a month, I'll have something from it in the newsletter. Like it's not a self-help book, it's a novel, but it's the ultimate book on like story form on human behavior. And there's just these little like really insights that are relevant today.
I've never heard of it,
That's
so I'm gonna check this out. Unbearable lightness of being.
the unbearable lightness of being.
Thanks,
And
man.
there's just some great things about like the types of views we want from people, the type of eyes we want on us. And like the first type is those who want eyes from the masses. The second
Mm.
type is those who want eyes from important people. The third type is the eyes from the loved ones.
Hmm.
The fourth type is the eyes of the dreamers. Like, and it's like each of them have their problems. More's like one's more dangerous than two, and vice versa. You know, like it's just kind of like how society's acting today with that validation and everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot in it. Just like go to Goodreads and look at the quotes, and I bet
Okay.
you'll read 10 of them and you'll think I need to read this book.
Okay. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Are you using AI?
No. Yeah, I've turned it on like 3 times. And I just big
I
reason.
just,
Big
I,
big reason is I wrote the book. I started to write the book before the AI boom, and I wanted it like I don't want my kids asking who or what wrote this.
okay.
So
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
second reason is writing is a math equation for me. Like it takes me 10 hours to write a 600 word post, no matter how easy it looks. It takes me an hour to write a note. Like, and that's the challenge. Like, is like I get a release from that. And the third
I,
reason is I think that people should get paid. Like, yeah, these geniuses now using AI to write come off like they're geniuses. And sometimes I'm like, well, just give that. I mean, how did you get that information that made you a genius? Is kind of like the humility, I think, should be a little bit more there with some
mm,
of the stuff going on with AI. Like everything that they're building came from someone else before. You know what I mean?
Ah,
That
yes.
with
Yeah.
designers too, like some great designers who are beautiful minds, like what are they going to have to like work a job that they hate now to pay the bills? Like, you know what I mean? Like it is finding a way where that works for everyone is something that I think they should be focusing more on right now.
Okay.
But it's incredible. Like I can't reject it. I'm just not embracing it for my own work.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's fair. I opened like ChatGPT and they have this like voice thing where you like talk to it and then like it's
yeah,
back to you. And it was so creepy. It's get like the closer it gets to human, the creepier it gets. So I was like with my friends and I'm like, oh my God.
that's it. Yeah, yeah. Like what?
We're
Like
laughing.
I miss figuring stuff out with like that's what I get my buzz off of with clients also is like the 3 hour call on a problem and the 181st minute we figure it out. Like I'll be like, that's the thing that you need to focus on. That's what I love. The creativity is collaboration for me at this point.
Mm.
And that's the thing. Like I like that struggle. Like you do too, like you like challenges and struggle and fighting through stuff. Um Maybe I'll have AI help with my organization as God knows I need it. But
There's a role to
the,
play for AI for
yeah,
sure somewhere.
yeah, or speeding up email reply or like some of the automated things of day to day. Yeah, I get it
Yeah.
completely. All right.
Cool, man.
Speed round. Yeah, no, that was a speed round answer. No, I'm not using AI.
I think if I only want to ask you one more question, so I'm trying to think of a good one. Let's see here. Okay, procreation. Let's talk about procreation. Do you think like how this isn't really a speed round question, but I love to talk about this because a lot of people aren't having that many kids. They're not thinking about having kids. Would you encourage people to have kids? Like how did that change you?
Oh my God. Like I didn't get focused until I had kids. And like I didn't really start doing like the work that I love. Like the kids forced me. Yeah, there's a lot of people who say the same thing. Like they're worried about like some of my friends who make the most money had kids the youngest. And I understand why now. Like the constraints, you have a certain amount of time each day to get stuff done. So you get stuff done. I think the thing of like you're always going to have money problems or stress, like no matter if you have kids or not.
Yeah,
Maybe not if you're single and you make six fingers and you live to 100.
you'll find a way to be stressed out in this
But
society.
you'll figure out like you'll probably have too many really nice shoes or something or trips booked. You'll find a way to spend it. I think kids like there's a quote that is like if you want to be happy, don't have kids. If you want to be fulfilled, have kids.
Hmm.
I think that's very true. Because 23 hours sucks. The 24th hour like is awesome. So it's kind of like waiting for those 24th hour and hoping that they aren't too far apart. Um,
Yeah. I think I suck at happiness. I'm not so I'm kind of giving up on the happiness thing. Not getting
good
it.
for you because it's more for like it's not about me anymore. Like I can't be narcissistic and I can't be selfish and I can't be self-centered all the time.
Right.
So it does help with that with kids. Like it's just a busy world we've created. We have a simple life here, but with elderly parents, with kids, football practice, stress, bills, like whatever, tax season, all of those simple things just still get complicated. So you got to be careful what simple things that you pick. So at least the complicated things are the things you want to be complicated. But with kid, like we do it pretty well, I think, and we can walk everywhere. Like we don't have to drive to football practice an hour away. There's no waiting in
Nice.
lines, and it's still stressful. Like the days are just too short. Like it's not. So that's the thing right now. I think is the thing of you need to make a certain amount of money to live and survive while having children would scare the shit out of me too. Like it did scare me. Like I was a mess. In chapter 9, I think I tell the story of that the thought process of starting a family. It's a
Brilliant. I'm really looking forward to reading it. The book is called Shy by Design. It's available on Amazon. Where else can people find some of your writing?
so I have about 300 articles on Medium. So I did one a week for 6 years. Is that about right?
Wow.
Yeah, the max.
Nice.
Yeah. So I did the slow route. There's some weeks I did two, but mainly like over the trajectory, it's one a week. And my website is michaelthompson.art, like artist.
Cool.
It's not a self-proclaimed artist thing. It's more, there's a lot of Michael Thompsons in the world, and it was the only one available. Like, and I do like the art side of it. And then Substack, I just started a Substack called Shy by Design about a month and a half ago, 2 months maybe. And that's where I'm going to be moving forwards. That's where I'm going to be more at. Like, I feel like that's a conversion of LinkedIn, Twitter, and Medium with a lot
Fantastic.
more. Yeah.
Michael, it's been an honor to talk with you. Thank you for joining us.
This was really fun. Yeah, I'll remember it. But yeah, in terms of interviews, this was a good one. Huh? I've been doing a
I'm
lot.
glad to hear it, man. Yeah, let's chat again. Let's maybe follow up again next year and see where you're at. And honestly, I would love to collaborate with you on pretty much anything in any capacity.
Nice.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you for listening. Check out the links in the description to get Michael Thompson's book and check out his Substack. Peace.
Thank you.